Hi everyone, it's Kate and welcome to another episode of Marvelous Videos. In today's video, we look at 10 insanely underrated 2021 foreign horror movies, explored. If love and music know no language, neither does the horror genre. 2021 had been an uplifting year, allowing the entertainment industry to get back on track. 2021 has also spoiled horror fans, with highly anticipated content like Malignant, The Night House, Last Night in Soho, and also new installments in Halloween, Paranormal Activity, and the Candyman franchises. But that's not all. Horror fans can expect even more from international horror movies. Last year was also exceptional for international horror films. With the advent of the streaming platforms like Netflix, Shudder, Amazon Prime, and others, we can sit at home, relax, and relish any movie despite its language and origin. We bring the 10 most underrated horror movies that deserve your attention from the innumerable number of foreign films. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you, and let's begin. The Medium, Thailand. The Medium is a Thai mockumentary supernatural horror film and was declared the best feature film at the 25th Busan International Fantastic Film Festival. It was also awarded Busan Choice Award for the best film. The film is directed and co-produced by Banjong Pisanthanakon. The film follows a Thai documentary team travelling to Isan, located in the northeast part of Thailand. Their purpose is to make a documentary on Nim, who acts as a medium for the spirit of Bayan. Bayan is the local deity worshipped by the villagers. Bayan has possessed the women in Nim's family for many generations. According to the timeline, Nim's sister Noi was to become the next medium, but Noi refused to become a medium and converted to Christianity. Because of this, the spirit of Bayan has stayed with Nim ever since. Nim informs the team that the men in their family faced extreme misfortune. The only people left in the family are Nim, Noi, and Noi's daughter, Mink. Mink has also refused to join shamanism and attends the church with her mother. Soon, everyone is shocked to notice Mink's strange and aggressive behaviour, and she displays multiple personalities. At first, Nim thought that Bayan was expressing the desire to make Mink his next medium, but Nim had no idea about the horrible and disastrous events that awaited them. The film received positive reviews, displaying a dense narrative with exorcism combined with the unique culture of Thailand. The film also presented cannibalism, animal cruelty, self-harm, and incest. So, dear horror fans, please prepare yourselves well before watching this horror fest. The Eighth Night, South Korean. The Eighth Night is a South Korean mystery thriller released in 2021, directed by Kim Tae-hyung. Like The Medium, this film also highlights another struggle for an exorcism to prevent the resurrection of the devil, whose eyes were locked up in two different caskets for 2,500 years. The devil was known to have tormented humanity for years. The story went back as late as 2.5 millenniums ago, when a monster had planned to unleash hell on Earth. Even Lord Buddha could not kill it, but he managed to rip out its eyes and defeat him. The monster has one red eye and one black eye. The red eye followed 7 stepping stones, which are 7 human beings that the red eye had used as the bridge to reach humanity. The last of those 7 persons was the virgin shaman. After defeating the red eye, Buddha stored them in different caskets. He then buried one eye in the far east mountains, and the other in the far west desert, to ensure that the eyes would never reunite and resurrect the monster. However, after a few centuries, a disgraced professor decided to reawaken the monster's red eye. The red eye wreaked havoc, leaving Detective Kim Ho-tae perplexed with the series of strange decaying corpses. Monk Chung-seok sought the help of Park Jin-soo, who was a banished monk well prepared to stop the unification of the two eyes. The two monks and Detective Kim began hunting the virgin shaman to prevent the red eye from entering her as the last stepping stone and awaken the monster. Critics said the screenplay was incredibly thoughtful and left the audience guessing. The performance of the stars was also applauded. The film avoids big scares, but it does provide a highly creepy supernatural environment. The innovative cinematography and amazing visual effects make this film stand above the standard horror movie. Are you okay? Last Night in Soho, UK. Next on the list, we have Last Night in Soho, a British psychological horror film directed by Edgar Wright and written by Wright and Krysty Wilson-Cairns. The film tells the story of an aspiring fashion designer who can mysteriously time travel to the 1960s, and her dreams start weaving something much darker. Eloise Turner, or Ellie, aspiring to become a fashion designer, has always been enchanted by the music and fashion of the 1960s. Her mother, also a fashion designer, had committed suicide when Ellie was a child, but Ellie often encountered her mother's ghost in the mirror. Soon, Ellie shifted from her rural home to London to pursue her studies at the London College of Fashion, but in her college she found it difficult to adjust with her peers, especially her roommate Jocasta. Unhappy, Ellie moved into a bedsit owned by elderly Miss Collins. That night, Ellie was transported to the 1960s in her dreams, where she observed a smart woman, Sandy, who aspired to become a singer at the club. The next night, Ellie had another dream where she found Sandy giving an audition at the Soho nightclub, while she had entered the same bedsit where Ellie was living. Ellie changed her looks and fashion style to look exactly like Sandy, and took a job at a pub. In the following dreams, Ellie discovered that she was converted to an escort by the club manager Jack. Soon, Ellie's life turned into a nightmare as she started being disturbed by Jack and all the men who had abused Sandy. What is the actual truth behind Ellie's dreams? Is it what she thinks of Sandy, or some mystery that she couldn't even imagine? The film premiered at the 78th Venice International Film Festival. Apart from the script, every other aspect of the film, like cinematography, costume, production design, direction, and performance, received positive feedback from the critics. Many critics even praised the fact that the movie had successfully blended horror with the glamour of the 1960s. The Sadness, Taiwan. Next, we bring you to a Taiwanese horror film that has been written and directed by the debutante Canadian director Rob Jabaz. The film follows the reunification of a couple amidst a deadly virus outbreak, converting people to mindless, cruel creatures. The film manages to touch the right chord at the right time. On the one hand, the world is fighting the horror of the pandemic. On the other hand, there is always the fear of how and when the virus will mutate itself. In Taiwan, the government had refused to take any step and ignored the potential surging effects of the ongoing Alvin virus. The repeated warnings of the virologists also went unheard by the government. Soon, the virus started to mutate and converted common people to bloodthirsty, cannibalistic monsters. The worst fact about this virus was the infected people retained their senses and control over their bodies, but they succumbed to their most disgusting tendencies and desires. This made them creepier and more dangerous than brainless zombies. The virologists warned them that people would be aware of what they were doing in the near future, but they would be totally unable to control their actions. The film commenced with the couple, Jack and Kat. Kat headed for her office while Jack remained at home. Soon, violence spread across the city as someone's face got peeled off. Some people were brutally stabbed, some got hit by a car, while a woman jumped from the top of a building. Amidst the widespread violence, the two leading characters had to put up maximum effort to reunite with one another. The film's bloody gore and gruesome effects poses a challenge even for a hardcore horror fan. Is it too much bloodshed to accept? Yeah, the film did win the New Flash Award for the Best First Feature at the Fantasia Film Festival. Titane, France. Titane is a French-Belgian co-production movie written and directed by Julia Dorcanal. Agathe Roussel debuts as Alexia, who had a titanium plate fitted to her head after encountering a severe car accident in her childhood. During a car drive, Alexia, as a little girl, kept disturbing and distracting her father, resulting in the crash. She suffered a major skull injury, and so a titanium plate had to be fitted into her head. After being released from the hospital, she totally ignored her parents and embraced the car. After growing up, Alexia worked as a showgirl at a motor show. One night after the show, Alexia's hardcore fan followed her to the parking lot and forcefully tried to kiss her. Alexia killed the man using her hairpin. Eventually, she ended up having sex with the car. It's revealed that she was a serial killer responsible for murdering several men and women, but even her parents living with her were unaware of the fact. Alexia then realized that she was pregnant as her vagina started secreting motor oil. After attending a house party, Alexia initiated a mass murder of all the guests in the party, except for one woman who managed to escape. Subsequently, she locked her parents in their bedroom and set her house ablaze. As police started looking for her, she altered her entire look and disguised herself as a young boy, Adrian Legrand. She approached the police pretending to be Adrian, where his father Vincent accepted her without a DNA test. Alexia started her new life with Vincent, who was a fire captain, making Alexia an apprentice in the fire station. How will Alexia hide her pregnancy from the entire world? Well, find out. Titane received its world premiere at the Cannes Film Festival, where it received the festival's topmost award. Many critics termed the film disturbingly shocking and thrillingly provocative. Overall, the film grabbed 14 awards and 59 nominations. The Cursed, Dead Man's Prey, South Korea. This South Korean occult thriller is the extended version of the 2020 series The Cursed. The film follows a remarkable story that investigates a major incident at a pharmaceutical company, where dead men were murdering the company's employees. The film is directed by Kim Young-won, who had also directed the series, and written by Yeon Sang-hoo. The film commenced with a murder, where the police detective Sung-joon discovered that the murderer had already died 3 months ago. Then the audience is introduced to Im Jin-hee, who is the director of the Urban Detective News channel. She was live on air when she received a call from a stranger who declared that he was the mastermind behind the strange murder that had occurred the day before, and was keen on giving an interview on her channel the following day. In the interview, the caller issued a threat where he demanded that the CEO of a major pharmaceutical company apologize on a public platform, or he would kill the senior management officers every alternate day. The caller didn't disclose the reason for the apology to the public, but later it was revealed that the caller was also a dead person. Panic and chaos broke loose in the management meeting of the pharmaceutical company, while the CEO's daughter decided to take advantage of the situation and became the controller of the company. Meanwhile, Jin-hee was joined by So-jin, the teenage girl with exceptional power to connect with the supernatural, and together they proceeded with the investigation with Detective Sung-joon. The action, drama, and fantasy settings were very attractive, but if an audience is not aware of the storyline of the series, some of the details regarding the main characters may not be comprehensive. The special effects regarding the disintegrating looks of the corpses are incredible, while the critics and audiences have highly appreciated the action in this movie. The Deep House, France. The next movie on the list is another supernatural horror French movie, written and directed by Julien Maury and Alexandre Bastillo. The film centers around two YouTubers who are experts in underwater exploration videos and explore a house submerged under a remote French lake. Ben and Tina are a young dynamic couple belonging to New York and very passionate YouTubers. They had been traveling enthusiastically all over Europe to hunt down reputed haunted houses and livestream their experiences in these houses. One day they visited southwest France to locate a submerged sanatorium in an artificial lake, only to find it to be a crowded vacation spot. A local, Pierre, offered to help them and took them to another mansion that had been preserved under the lake in the forest of Chanteloup. On reaching the spot, Ben and Tina dived into the water and found the mansion, which was indeed very well preserved. But soon bizarre incidents started to take place as they heard strange voices and noises. Their equipment started malfunctioning and the motion tracker picked up movement while they couldn't see anything to trigger the movement. Inside some of the rooms they discovered the photos and news articles about missing children, while they also encountered satanic symbols. Inside the kitchen they also found a door blocked by a cross, leading them to another room containing corpses in chains, and another side room full of pickled human body parts. They tried to escape but were stranded inside while the two corpses came alive and attacked them. The underwater exploration concept had an interesting appeal to it, but nothing could really be determined about the performances of the actors, as most of the time they'd been wearing diving masks. The found footage camera work and the claustrophobic creepy settings are worth mentioning though. Ghost Lab, Thailand. We have one more Thai film on this list, Ghost Lab, written by Vasudorn Pieromna and directed by Pawan Parijit Panya. Released as a Netflix original, the film tells the story of two doctors who become obsessed with proving the existence of ghosts after having a paranormal experience in their hospital. The film introduced us to the doctors Dr. Wee and Dr. Glar, who were also very good friends. While Glar believed in paranormal activities, Wee was only interested in science. But suddenly, Wee and Glar were shocked to encounter a ghost in their hospital, but they couldn't capture a photo of the ghost. Glar eventually revealed that he had been obsessed with ghosts from his childhood after he had encountered his father's ghost. Ever since, he had been researching in a lab with every detail he could grab from the internet about any paranormal activity. He had documented every account of any person who had declared any encounter with ghosts. Glar wanted to know everything about ghosts and what triggered them to become visible. Accordingly, we agreed to help Glar prove that ghosts do exist in his research work. Then they investigated the hospital storeroom, where a few wheelchairs started moving by themselves, while the files started falling from the shelves. The two friends were terrified as well as excited and spent the entire night in their research work. Eventually, Wee's mother, who was in a coma for many years, died, and Wee saw his mother's ghost trying to tell him something which he couldn't understand. Wee then decided to kill himself, thinking that his ghost would help Glar complete his research. But Wee was not able to kill himself, and it was Glar who committed suicide. Will Glar's ghost cooperate with Wee to complete the research? The movie deviated from the stereotypical ghost movie plot, trying to develop something new, but sometimes the story slackens and loses its depth. The performance of the actors was outstanding, while the film relied on the plot rather than visual effects. Whispering Corridor 6, The Humming, South Korea. This film is the 6th film in the Whispering Corridors franchise, though there is no continuity among the films. The film is directed by Mi Young Lee and follows Yoon Hee, who is appointed as the vice principal and the counselor in her own school, but was haunted by strange noises coming from the abandoned restroom. The movie commenced in a school corridor where a girl was seen committing suicide in the storeroom. The next scene introduced No Yoon Hee, who had decided to join her old school, Gwangju High School, as the vice principal. She was also considered as the counselor for the girls. One of the students, Ha Yeon, accidentally discovers a door behind the locker, taking her to the basement where she saw strange artifacts and a name written in the mirror. The audience was able to see a pair of hanging feet behind Ha Yeon, but when she turned back, they disappeared. Yoon Hee appeared outside, and through the hole of the broken doorknob, she saw a pair of ghostly eyes. Yoon Hee kept hallucinating about a schoolgirl, while the teachers of the school were surprised that Yoon Hee was more interested in befriending the students rather than the teachers. The principal was sure that she had met Yoon Hee before, but she didn't remember anything else about her. On the one hand, Yoon Hee was frustrated with the strange noises and her hallucination, and on the other hand, she became involved in the case where Ha Yeon complained that a powerful teacher of the school sexually abused and blackmailed some of the students. Can Yoon Hee manage to handle all the problems surrounding her? In spite of the ongoing ghost story, the plot revolves around a lot of issues like sexual abuse, childhood trauma, military exploitation, and many others. The film generates some genuinely creepy moments and scares when least expected. Lamb, Iceland. Last but not least, we have the Icelandic horror drama Lamb, directed and co-written by Valdemar Johansson. The film premiered at the Cannes Film Festival and was nominated for the Best International Feature Film at the 94th Academy Awards. An unknown creature entered a barn breathing heavily, while the entity spooked the horses and the sheep. Sometime later, farmer Ingvar and his wife Maria were shocked to find that one of the sheep in their farm had given birth to a human-sheep hybrid. Maria and Ingvar became extremely attached to the hybrid lamb and treated it like their own child, naming it Ada, after Maria's deceased child. But Ada's biological mother would not let her child be taken away so easily, and constantly tried to approach Ada and take her away from the couple. Maria and Ingvar had found happiness after a long time. They were blessed with a child, no matter that it had the head of a sheep and it didn't belong to them. In order to make Ada completely their own child, Maria shot Ada's biological mother and buried her secretly. To make things worse, Ingvar's brother, Peter, who arrived at their house, witnessed the entire episode. At first, Peter started to ridicule the couple for making such a weird decision, but Ingvar tried to convince him about the happiness they were relishing after such a long time. At one point, Peter tried to take Ada away and shoot her, but eventually he too started loving Ada and became an uncle-like figure. But their happiness was short-lived, due to the return of the creature whose presence was felt in the first scene. Who was he? How was he related to Ada? The movie belongs to the category where the audience is left to use their own interpretation. It generated primarily positive reviews praising the incredible direction of Johansson, which perfectly complemented the fantastic performance of the leading stars. Let the world of cinema break all the boundaries and barriers of foreign countries and languages and generate only one language, the language of entertainment. So relax, enjoy these movies, and above all, stay safe. If you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks!